sort of an outline of what I was sort of planning to do for the breakout session. I guess we're gonna get a interest here. Did everybody come to the ballroom session here a minute ago? See me for that? What I have is an expanded PowerPoint for all those different programs. And so what I was going to go through is talk about, again, the ins and outs on how to use these programs, what you get out of them, and some products. Is that what everybody's interested in for a breakout? Yes, that's what I don't want to overload you with slides, and since I was 4 years old, my mother says I talk too fast. So, you know, if I get talking too fast or rolling too fast, just let me know and stop me, because that's one thing I don't want to do. Okay? We're going to talk about the booklet, the different sections for it. I've got a couple of extra examples that you have links to hopefully now. And then I'll show you an example of how to get some tax information, how to get those land patents, and then talk a little bit about data management, record keeping, and finish up with a Q&A section. So my background, my name is John Gilbert. I'm a research associate at Auburn University in the School of Forestry and Wildlife Sciences, and I actually work in the Longleaf dynamics lab. Say that 3 times fast. But anyway, what I do GIS work is the main thing, and I do only pine work. Recently started helping teach a GIS class and help teach a summer camp. Again, more GIS-based instruction. As part of my work, you may have heard me, or I may have contacted you in years past working on a Longleaf pine database, trying to find out where Longleaf stands were across the southeast. In doing that, I came across a lot of landowners that were interested in mapping, interested in putting things together for their property, but haven't taken that next step or didn't know how. And so that's why we came up with the booklet and why I'm here to talk to you today, to help you take that next step to make maps for your property. So who's out here? How many private landowners? Any conservation professionals? We got a few. Good deal. And so again, we want to get resources out for everybody. You know, instead of having everybody answer at once, I want you to think about as we go through this, why are you interested in or mapping in general, or especially online mapping? What do you want to accomplish? What maps do you want to make for your property? And then, you know, what types do you want to create? Those are the things you need to be thinking about as you go through. Again, we had this slide out there earlier. It's an emerging topic, a lot of tools, a lot of options. And just sort of want you, again, this is just the tip of the iceberg of what's out there, but we do want to give you a good cross-section of some opportunities. Again, that's sort of the highlight. I'm going to flip through some of these so we get to the meat. These were things we talked about. I do want to hang on this. You know, to me, any private landowner or conservation professional out there, if you're doing management on the ground, at the least, you need stand boundaries, you need air photography, topographic, lay of the land, and soils information. To me, those are just the basic things. And we'll show you at least 2 or 3 different ways you can get that today. If you're interested, as we get through, and I've got examples too, if you're interested in the parcel data and tax information, the historic aerial photos, and the land patent information, I'll show you how to get to that, because a lot of those are new tools out there and they're really cool. A lot of good information. Hopefully the links and everything, did everybody get a links page? No. Oh, got one over there. And there was a PowerPoint in my earlier, but I ran out of those. I have 1 copy left. At the end of this, we need some more. I know Mr. Gilbert said he would make some more for us, so be good to go. A lot of opportunities. What I want you, since you're here, don't be afraid of mapping. There's a lot of opportunities out there, but it can get overwhelming. It can be sort of painful in the process early on if you don't prepare. And that's what hopefully we're going to give you enough preparation to get you started to alleviate that. How many people here have a computer and internet access? How many of you are only on dial-up? Good deal. That was a big dial-up. This was something Mr. LeKelt and I talked about a while back when we first started this. Dial-up. Have you ever tried any of the booklet stuff or any of this with dial-up? Had any issues? Okay, that was a concern we have. Sometimes it may take you a little bit longer to get through with some of the processes, but it's still an option. All right. So the main thing we're going to talk about is getting into the booklet. Again, I want to thank the Alabama Forest Forever Grant for giving us the ability to get this out there, to get these produced. I did keep 1 copy. We were able to hand these out last year as the color copies. This is what the booklet actually looked like in full color form. And so we're very interested in getting them reprinted to get them out. But I handed out all 224 copies, or this may have been the 26th. an extra print. And so I keep these to show. The black and white copies, you know, we're getting those out. And you mind if I borrow yours for a second? Somebody had printed this one out with a colored printer, and so it's available online as a PDF. You can print your own. And the link is out there on our website. It's actually out there on a couple of websites, but if you've got that link sheet, it's directly on there. So, again, it was designed for private landowners and conservation professionals. I want to set up like a tutorial. It takes you step by step with those example maps, how to create a stand boundary, how to get the aerial photography, the soils, the topographic, how you can build each map and then either print it or store it in some digital form. So that's pretty much what's in there. It's also a lot of tips and, you know, being able to, you know, questions have come up. Well, how do I right click or double click, or how do I change my browser settings? We've got some tips in there like that, because that can stop you dead cold, and you know you can't get over that hump. It may take you an hour or two. We want to try to help you get over those problems and get to the real meat. A lot of questions have come up too. What do I need? What should I be doing? We always put a disclaimer in. You know, read the fine print. Take a look at these programs. You're going to be either downloading something or doing something on the internet, and you're going to be taking in information and making decisions. You've got to decide whether or not what you're getting is truly good enough for you to make that decision, or do you need to go look somewhere else. So always put that in. You need to think about what these products actually represent on the ground. All right. Any questions so far? Am I going way too fast?
All right. PDF. Lisa, that was real quick on the screen. Is it in here somewhere?
Yes, sir. It's in the cover, and it's also. Do you have the links page? It's actually in there too. So this is the Web Soil Survey. So how many of you have used Web Soil Survey? All right, we got a handful. This is a great product. It is produced by NRCS, or Natural Resources Conservation Service. This is a one-stop shop. If you've never done much online mapping and you want to go get all those maps, this is a one-stop shop to go get them all. And so this is what the intro screen looks like. Again, this is a great product. It's an online application. I think most of you have internet. You don't have to download anything. You just go to the website and pull it up. It gives you the ability to locate your piece of property. We'll talk about how to do that. You go in and you either create a boundary for the property, you can just highlight a big area, and I'll show you examples of what each one of those looks like. You can display, it'll give you your soils, it will give you your aerial photo as a default. There are also ways to take it off and put the topo layer on. Some landowners just like to turn everything off and just have your stand there. And so turn off soils, turn off aerial photo, everything. So it's pretty customizable. You can create maps, you can print them out, and you can save them as a digital copy. A lot of different things you can do, and I've got examples of that. As we start showing them, I'll start handing them around. You can also get into some pretty detailed reports. If you don't know much about soils and you're interested in learning, you get a glossary of terms, you can get soils information, you can get all that together. You can either view it as a PDF on the screen or print it out. They can get both. It's available, that's the site, but again, if you've got my links page, no need to write it down, it's out there, and when in doubt, just Google or use your favorite search engine. Don't want to pin anybody down. Yes.
You mentioned a minute ago that you could save the maps. Does that mean that this particular application, anything you want, you can either save it online or on your PC?
It's only going to save on your PC.
It's only going to save on your PC.
Right. You can't save it to the product online, as far as I know. Right. You save it to your machine. As we get to an example, I'll pass one around. So we did this, and we talked about who used it. When you get to that site, this is what it's going to look like. And they've got a big green button that says Start WSSS, or the Web Soil Survey. And that's what gets you in. Again, too, for people, everybody's got a copy of that booklet. It's going to take you step by step through all these processes. This is a page of how it starts. It even shows the little dot. And what we did, we go all the way through, talking about how to use the toolbar. How do you zoom in? How do you zoom out? How do you move around? Because there's a lot of different tools you have to use. You've got to search. Everything in the Web Soil Survey is going to be an area of interest. Area of interest is just whatever you're interested in. Your property, a timber stand, a pasture, any piece of dirt on the ground you want to look at, that's the area of interest. All right? How do you find it? You can type in your address. You can type in your STR, section, township, range. Type in your coordinates, either lat long or UTM. And you know, if you're using the GPS in coordination with this, just find out what units your GPS is using. And that'll help you get to it. So you always know your units. Any hardcore GIS users out there, like shapefiles, anything like that, there's a new tool where you can use, you never know. There's a new tool out there where you can download, if you're doing your GIS like Mr. Christian was talking about, you can download your polygon straight in. So if you ever move that direction, there's new tools out there for that. So for everything that will show it as an example going across, we're going to use it. There's a track just south of the Forestry and Wildlife Sciences building on campus. It's just south of the building. It's what we call it the Donahue track. It used to be part of the forestry plots back in the day. And so it's been in the school. The school's been planning and doing research there for quite some time. And so it was close. It was easy to find. We used it as our example. So what I've done is I sort of skipped ahead. I chose Alabama, Lee County, and I zoomed in. And so I got the idea of this is the track. And if you look over here, there are two buttons. That's your area of interest. If you choose the one that looks sort of like a pie shape, that's one. And what it does, it gives you a little cursor, and you actually trace clicking points around what I call sort of a complex shape. It's not just an easy square or rectangle. And so you can get down and actually highlight your area. If you're interested in getting just a big area, you don't want to take the time to do that, or you want to see what all the soils in the area, you just click and drag and make a big square or a big square rectangle, and it'll highlight it. I'll send around an example in a minute. It's like 3,000 acres. So you can do, you can do 15 acres or you can do 1,500.
Gotcha.
Yes, ma'am.
If you have a very erratic line,
Yes, ma'am.
can you take your legal description and do that?
Again, from the legal description, it's a little tough. You're sort of limited to your knowledge of where you think it is and what you can see from a photo. And so that is one caveat to it. It's whatever you can see from the photo, and the photos do vary. And so, yes, sir.
Does that application have the ability, like once you start drawing your line, can you drag your whole thing over, or you got to start drawing it?
Two limitations that are very painful about this. Once you start, you're into it. You'd have to do it again. The other thing is,
you got to have the whole property that you're going to outline in the screen.
right. That way you can draw around it. The other problem is, and this is something I hope they'll fix. You can't. And I know Mr. Hammy back there. We've had this conversation. You can't do two stands at once. And generally, when you pull it up, if you wanted to look at say this one and this one, you can't do two at once unless you highlight the big area. You can't do two polygons at one time. Hopefully, they're going to update that as time goes on. All right. So we got it selected. We've outlined our area, we zoomed in. All we got to do is click. So that's the area of interest tab. We click one tab over, and boom, we get all of our soils information. And so it puts in the polygons. It does it by color and by number. And then back over here, it tells, we pretty much got a Marvin loamy sand with two different slopes. It's pretty much what it boils down to. It gives you your acreage for whatever you highlighted. So you notice with that whitish line, that's my polygon for the sand. That's all the information that goes with it. So at this point, you could print it out. You can just hit File and print it out. Or you can save it as a PDF. You can create custom reports. Again, one thing about these products, they're all professional maps. Every map's going to have a title. You get to put that in. It's going to tell you where it is, which comes up as default. It's going to have north arrow, scale bar, all the essential components you need to know the information about that map. And we got some examples. So again, this is the example, and I'll start floating stuff around. This is the map that it produces. Now, notice that I tucked in the legend that you can't read, because I was trying to keep down from overwhelming you too much with slides. What it's going to do is produce a map like this. It's going to have another page with all the full legend of all the symbols and things that could be on there. And then it's going to have a table with that information that we showed, breaking down the two sands, Marvin loamy sand. So this is the simplest thing. Either you print it directly out, or you produce this and print it out. This can be saved as a PDF. If you'll pass that around, I'm sure we'll appreciate it.
Color or black and white?
I I only have access to a black and white printer, so that you can't print them at all.
But the same.
Yes, this is actually the PDF, right, that you're seeing here.
Okay, and that is just.
Yes, sir, it's gone. Yes, sir.
John, is that the only format that you can in?
PDF is the default. I'm not sure if you could change it to a JPEG or not. I think PDF is pretty much what they like the most. And if you don't have Adobe, they have a free reader out there that you can read. So good way to access. We'll talk about some others where you can say that it's different formats. I know Google Earth's a JPEG, so it depends. One thing about it is if you have it here, and it's going to depend on your version, you can right-click the image and export to another image type. So something to think about from the PDF. Again, as we talked about, if you've got a bigger track, or you want to see what's around, or you don't want to draw the complex polygon, you can just take it, drag it from there to there, and boom, there's 2,000 acres that'll pop up.
How does it know what soil type there is?
Again, that's a great question, and it's going to vary county to county. What this does is this taps back into your soil survey, and so what NRCS has produced for your county. And so it's going to vary county to county what the data is. I think most of Alabama have been updated. There's potentially 2 counties floating out there that are not. And so outside of Alabama, other states have different schedules for the soil surveys. If you're interested in any older surveys too, some of them will let you tap back into time at the previous ones. So again, that's sort of the 2,000 acres. The custom report. So if you want more than just the map, you can get to, I think I just brought, excuse me, still more. This is the custom report with all you can turn on a glossary. What you have to do is you have to say add to cart. And so, man, when I first used it, I thought it was going to charge me. But it's not going to charge you. You have to add it to the cart. But what you can produce is a report like this. And I mean, it's more information than you may want, but it's really good. It tells how soil surveys are made. It's got a glossary of terms, so if you want to learn about anything, something doesn't make sense, it's got all that built in. I'm going to pass this one around too because I'm not holding it up real well. And so again, you get, I think this one's like 60 pages. And so you can go from very minimal to the extreme. Be careful.
Is this information pretty much similar to the old USDA report was about that thick?
Yes, what this does is lets you tap into those reports in a digital format. And as we get through, there's actually the ability to go beyond just the soil type, but to actually get into the suitabilities and limitations. You can tap more into the actual soil survey information beyond just the type. And so again, that's just another tab. There's an intro to soils that, again, some of that information you can click through and do sort of some online instruction. If you just want to get in and start playing with it, click one tab over. You know, some of the things, there's a whole world of things you can do out there. Some of them you could get into looking at, they have a whole portion on haul roads and log landing limitations. There's information out there about vegetation productivity, site index. You can pull up and make maps with that type of information. And again, once you pull that up, it's the same as just the soil type. You can make these similar reports. And I'll go ahead and start floating those around. These are just, again, some example ones we pulled up and did real quick. Those are just some examples. This is an example. I think this is in Escambia County. I just highlighted the area, grabbed site index, pulled up Longleaf because I have a natural bias, and just wanted to take a look at it. Again, one of the very interesting things to think about is when was that site index data collected, and how does that apply to what you're using now? They have a range of species you can look at. Again, it's going to depend on what species were measured during that interval when the soil survey was created. So
does it tell you when that survey was done?
Yes, ma'am. This one goes back. This one goes back to poll from 1960.
1960.
Yes, ma'am. So always take a look and find out the reference for the data, and you have to evaluate the data for what you have today. If you did the map for haul roads and landing limitations, again, everything is red. Those are going to be wet areas. And so again, it's just tapping into it. You set up the criteria and play around with some of the tools. Just want to show you as an example of more than just soil type. So we talked about all the other types. We got stand boundary. We could go here. If we hit the legend, we get the whole list of things out there. If you're near any type of public land, you can turn on boundaries for that. If you're interested in streams or canals, or you want to know what your HUP code is, you can pull that up. railroads, roads, major routes, local roads, whatever. You can turn all those on and off. But the main thing we want to talk about is if you just wanted a stand map with nothing on there, or what you've outlined, you can turn off everything and just have that polygon go through.
Yeah.
Sure.
If you have land that has been traversed over the last 150 years, can you find old roads on it? Is there a thing there for old roads?
Most of them are going to be more current roads, and so anything with old roads, you would have to try to pick it up in the photo. But again, the big thing here is you can turn the photo off and turn the topo on, create the same, add it to the cart, and boom, you've got all your maps right there as two different bodies.
John, what's the 850 hydraulic unit?
Those are your HUD codes or hydraulic units. Those are sort of like your watersheds almost. And so it highlights all the area around your property that's in sort of a watershed. And so they have different codes for different sizes and different types. Any other questions about that? A lot of things that are great about this site, beyond just all the information, is the extensive amount of help information. They have tutorials, they have contact numbers. If you run into a problem, they have a great system out there to help you get through that. And so I always like to point that out. All these links are in the booklet. I don't think I put them in my link list, but they're in the booklet. Again, and they're also, as you're using the site, there's plenty of help. Again, great. One thing to think about that sometimes they do updating, so sometimes the site may not be available. The other thing is if you pull it up and you're looking at the track, you go get a cup of coffee, you cook, and you come back, and it says you've timed out, you have to start over. So if you've worked on sort of outlining a pretty good sized polygon and you stop to go get a cup of coffee, then it may time out. And so they do it so they keep sort of the system flowing and you don't bog it up too much.
This brings up another question.
Mm-hmm.
If you've been working on it, you save it to your computer, can you go back to that exact link and pick it up right there without having to start over?
Once you draw a polygon, whatever it is, the rectangle or what's around your property, and you put that to the cart and you save it as a PDF, that's it. It's in there. It's in your machines. And so there's no way to edit it that I know of. You have to start over for each property.
Good way to do everything total before saving.
Yes, you have to do everything you want to do before you save it. And once you save it, then you've got that product. Does anybody, so we only had a few hands at first. Anybody see a use for this? Okay, so we pick up a few on that. All right, good deal. We like to see progress. All right, so Google Earth, that's the second section of our pie. So Google Earth is a little bit different. It requires downloading a program, but of the people out there, so I'm going to ask it again in a minute. How many of you have ever used Google Earth? All right, so we pick up a lot of people. So you know you have to download, but if you've already downloaded it, you're in business. Most people potentially, from what I hear, use it to locate a piece of property, get directions, do things like that. But what we want to focus on today is how you can store that location and descriptive information, store a boundary for a polygon, like a timber stand. Put in points for all your gates. Anything that you can put down on the ground, we can show it spatially. That's what I want to talk to you about today, and how you can use that to communicate better with any of your friends or your conservation professional. How you can again be able to transfer that information. You can also create maps, and again, it's just a lot of great opportunities in this program that I think we overlook. Again, we've got this is on that link sheet, all the links and the keywords to get you to the location to download. Pretty basic requirements for computers. It doesn't take a whole lot to run it. Does anybody have problems running it on their machine? That's, again, as we move forward with technology, that's getting to be less and less of a problem. So, we talked about how many of you ever used it. I know when I asked it in the big group, not many of you used it to store these points, lines, and polygons. So again, that's what we want to focus on. And we're going to go through some examples. One thing about it, Google Earth is, I tried and tried and tried. I cannot find out a way to turn off the aerial photo. So it's there. It uses that as the background. Somebody asked me that question once, so I tried. Couldn't do it. Pretty much, it's got the photo as a background, but there's this whole laundry list of layers that you can add. And if it doesn't pop up, you can go out and search for more. And so people are putting things out there quite a bit. You can locate that area of interest. You can create what they call place marks. Those are points. So point, anything, could be a gate, tree stand, any discrete point on your property, or I've even, if it's a pretty definable boundary, I'll just put a point in the middle of it and say, boom, this is what it is. Paths, that's any type of line. You want to put a stream, road, trails, anything you want a distance, not anything you want an area on. Areas are different. When you create boundaries, boundaries are anything you want an area on. Anything you want to close it around and complete sort of a polygon or a box shape. And again, you can make maps, and we'll show examples. Since most of you are Google Earth users, you probably won't, you'll just flip through this page in the booklet, but it does talk about how you can use the different tools to navigate. You can turn your azimuth, turn your direction. You can zoom down and get into the map. You can adjust your bird's eye view. Some people don't like to use the mouses. You can actually use arrow keys and control them. So there's a lot of ways to navigate. One of the things I tell people, and this is something, and I'm really guilty of it, students we have on campus are guilty of it. They never look at their units. And they'll be doing something, and then they'll look at their GPS, and their GPS will be in degrees, and their Google Earth's going to be in meters, and they can't figure out why it doesn't line up. So one of the things I'll tell you, take a look at your units if you're trying to compare it to a GPS unit or to coordinates out of the deed, or anything you've got. Make sure you've set this so it matches up and you know where you are. You can also adjust, if you're having any type of computer problems, you can adjust the terrain quality and overview maps. You can make it where it doesn't take as much of your memory as you're scrolling around looking at things. This is sort of a quick laundry list of their layers as far as roads, cities, points of interest. Again, there's if you search, we did a short course and the guy was interested in sections and townships and ranges. We pulled all that up and he could take a look and he had it all right there. And so there's a lot of layers out there that you can pull. So it's always worth taking a look. So concentrating on the points. Again, creating a place mark. Place mark is going to look like a yellow push pin. And when you click on create a place mark, it highlights over here and it'll be blinking. You have a couple options. You can open its table and you can type in your coordinates and it'll go to wherever the coordinates are, or you can click it and move it and put it in. So this is my example for the Donahue track, that polygon we did a minute ago. I just put a pin in the middle and boom, I've got it. I'm putting a label in and I even started describing what's going on there. Stan was thin, 2010. It's been underplanted in Longleaf, and so we're doing some research work on it. And so I can type all that in. Once I hit OK, it's going to bounce back out here to my places. So it exists out there as a temporary file. If you right-click that and click Save As, save it as a KML or a KMZ. Once you do that, then boom, you can right-click it, and even probably as a place, you can right-click it and click Email. It'll connect to your email, and you can send it. I can send it to Mr. Elliott over here. He can take a look. He can pull up that point, he can click on it, and boom, it will tell all that information that I typed in that dialog box. So, quick way to be able to, again, communicate, transfer information. You can change the shape. There's a whole laundry list, and I think it'll even let you import the shape if you want to make the dot or the push pin or whatever you want it to be. It's got a whole color palette, so you can customize your colors. Again, as you start showing a bunch of different place marks, the labels can get to be trouble if you just want to color code it. You can do that. All clear cuts are going to be green or brown, so you can change it around. Descriptive information is a lot that, people generally skip over, but this is a great opportunity to be able to put things together. Lines. If you want to get into paths, instead of doing points, you can click, there's a line tool, and I tried to trace in part of the trail there. You can do that. You can adjust the width, you can adjust the shape, size, and again, add all that description information. If it's logging roads, you could have the logging roads there, and you could have the gate. And you can send it to somebody that's working with you and say, boom, this is my road system, these are the locks, this is how you get through, and boom. Great way to be able to, again, communicate information. Taking the next step, getting into creating a polygon, given the whole Donahue boundary. And I did something I don't like. This is the default. As you trace around, it'll be this complete color. The same way we did it before. You go in, you can actually edit that and make it hollow. You can make it hollow. I suggest making it hollow as you digitize, because for me, if you're getting over here and you're digitizing, it just fills everything in and it's hard to, well, where do I go next? And so if you make it hollow at the beginning as an outline, it'll make your life a whole lot easier. And again, this is where you can add all that descriptive information and tie it all back into a polygon. All these can be saved. It's KML or KMZ are the two file types that Google Earth uses. It's called keyhole markup language. It's your user preference. I tend to choose KMLs because in using my other GIS work, it's easier to convert file types. It's going to be up to you. It's like .xls for Excel. This is just what format they use. They can be edited. One of the great things, when somebody asks a question, once you draw it, are you done? This one, you're not. You can actually open it up and you can edit the descriptive information and you can edit the shape, the color, and everything. So I can create one, I can send it to Ms. Carmichael, and she can say, that's not right, John, you need to change the west boundary. She can edit it and update the information and send it back to you. Yes, sir.
And when you say send it, you really mean send the link, right?
Send it, no, sir. Actually send the KML file as an attachment in an email.
And you don't have to pay $400 for that?
No, sir.
Well, in the class yesterday, they told us you couldn't save anything off Google on your
Really?
PC unless you paid for the upgrade, the non-free version.
Unless something's changed. I just used it the other day and I'm able to save and use and do.
I do it all the time.
Yes, so, and no, sir, I have the free version, so, yes, sir.
There is a subscription version.
Yes.
That's gonna give you more power, but
Oh, yeah.
are you gonna get to that?
Yes, sir, I will talk about it briefly. Everything I was on was just the free version. Again, as far as everything I do has been on the free version, unless something has changed in the last few months. You're able to, and again, this is a KML file. You're able to save it and then email it as an attachment or save it on a jump drive. I'll take a look at that and see if something's changed. One of the things that's going to come up is there's all the tools to zoom in, zoom out, and do things, but there's a ruler that gives you the ability to measure a line or a path. It can be straight or you can trace something pretty complex. And so just make sure you check and make sure you realize the desired units. Is it miles, meters, feet, whatever you want to use. So that's the key thing. To follow up, and this is where we get talking about the Google Earth Pro. One of the things, well, John, I've outlined the area, but I don't know how many acres it is. Well, if it's a simple square polygon and you want to do the math, you come up with the acreage using the measure tool. If it's that complex polygon for the Donahue track, it's a little bit tougher. So Google Earth Pro is the step up, and it requires purchasing a license. I will take a look and see if something's changed on saving, but mine's at least a year and a half old. It's the free version, and I've never had any problem saving the polygons, points, or lines.
Mine was 3 years ago.
Okay. If you want to take a step up, the Pro's out there. The Pro costs money. You can do numerous layers. You can get acreages. It's a great thing, but you got to pay money for it. So what I suggest doing is taking a look at the link and seeing what all the options are, see if it's worth it to you. Yes, sir.
What does Pro cost?
It varies. I don't want to quote a number. Somebody mentioned out. It's a couple $100. Again, it's going to vary, and how much bells and whistles you add on to it, make it dependent. I will talk about a freeware. If you want to use the free version and want to use, there's something called Genie Pass, and there's a link. The link's on your links page, and I've even got some. Now, this is not in the link. I believe the information's in the booklet, but the description is not. This is a whole separate program. So you have to take the risk of downloading it and using it. But what happened is I took the Donahue track and brought it into the Genie Pass. And all these are the coordinates. So every time when I went around the Donahue track and I clicked the point on that boundary, it pulls in all the coordinates. You have to fix the settings. The settings are a little painful to put together, but once you get the settings put together, you bring it back into Google Earth, and what it does is it's got a point for every set of coordinates, and it'll give me an acreage. So it said 21.99 acres is what I drew this time. I think I got 22 in the other one, but I didn't draw exactly the same polygon. So this is a way you can get acreage using the regular Google Earth with this other program.
Is there a limitation on the point?
I have never tested the size capacity, so I've tinkered around with 20 to maybe 100 acres or so. I've never gotten huge with it. That part I don't know. Let's see, they have tools to work with GPS data. I've got mixed reviews of how this exactly works. So as far as some people plug it up, they have no problems. Some people start working with it and they have issues. And so it's just going to depend on your unit and your computer. So you might want to read a little bit more about this if you want to go this route. But you can link into your unit, download data. You can take data you create here and view it in Google Maps. Again, another program, or send it to somebody that doesn't have Google Earth that wants to view it in Google Maps. And another thing is, and this is something people are interested in, you can look at photographs over time here too. There's a timeline, there's a clock up there, you click the clock, and you can go back in time on photos. Again, as you go back, you're going to get more into black and white photos, and the quality compared to what we have now is going to be a little different, so be aware of that. And it's different for the locations. Out in the rural areas, sometimes not as good as in the cities. So we've talked about aerial photography, we've talked about stands. What about a topo? Oh, yes.
What is ArcGIS and what's its relationship to Google Earth?
ArcGIS is a geographical information system. It's a whole separate product developed by Esri, a group out of California. Again, GIS, Google Earth is not a true GIS, it's more of a viewer. You can't really do spatial operations in the free version. You can't take an area photo and clip it. You can't do complex analysis or, things like that. Be able to sum all the acres for all the tracks you did. And so that's sort of a limitation between the two. Pro gets more closer. You can do more things, use different layers. But ArcGIS is its own beast. Now, there are ways, and this gets more complicated, but there are ways to take that KML file, convert it to something called a shapefile that will open in ArcGIS, and it will go vice versa. You can go from ArcGIS to Google Earth.
One thing I know on ArcGIS, you used to have a pretty high fixed and regular cost, and it's coming down next to nothing. So, like a lot of those, a couple of years, it may be damn near free.
They have one that there's an ArcGIS at home. If you're interested in taking that next step to a full-blown GIS, there's something called ArcGIS at home. If you're using it for non-commercial purposes, just for your own private use, you can get it. I think there might be a small subscription now. There's also an ArcGIS online that's free, that you can go out and view some of these layers, some of the things Mr. Christie was talking about in his talk. You can view some of that online. Yes, sir.
Is that an ARC?
Yes, sir. ARCGIS. ArcGIS. Again, the full-blown version of it's going to be plus 1,000. And so, again, the add-on version, again, with the subscription you can get.
Google Earth, how often do they update these photos on average?
It varies. They've got a pretty good one out there now. We've also noticed that it varies between cities and urban areas, or even sort of that, in between. But when you get out in the rural areas, sometimes the photos are not as up to date. It's going to vary.
I noticed this one map card that I've used before, and it seems to update the photos a little more often than Google Earth.
Right.
It's like $30 a year.
I got you. And again, like I said, we're just throwing some out here. These are the free versions. I'll show you a GPS visualizer that I swear I pulled up our property. I can tell where I cut an area with a bush hog in the last 6 months. So I'll show you one you can actually see people that are tailgating on campus. Oh, whoops, went back. Back to this, if you go to this link, you actually download a file that will go into your places. And when you turn that on, wherever you are, it'll populate with the existing topo maps. And as you scroll down, the maps will get better and better. And so with the resolution. So that's a cool way that you can get, again, your area photography, your stand map, and your topo all in one setting. And so, great thing. It can bog down your system though, because it is big. Make sure you zoom in before you turn it on. And don't be afraid, it'll glaze over and it'll look fuzzy like your computer's about to shut down, and then they'll all of a sudden come in. So, just keywords. Once you create the map, you can print it directly from Google Earth, or you can create a JPEG. Again, another format. And you can take this map and create a JPEG of it. Again, once you get it in that form, you can email it to somebody as an attachment, either the map, or, again, I'll check on it, but you can email, like, if I wanted to, I could email the Donahue track pin as a separate KML file. You could open it up and look at it. Same with the boundary. Professional map's got a scale Always be aware of the information about the year. I think this is an 11. And that's where the data came from. It doesn't always mean that's the photo date. There's also a photo date, so look real careful on the photo date. And it's got a north arrow. So again, all your essential components. Again, can you create a full-blown database? No, but you can start to approach it. You can put in a lot of information. This is the Tauga demonstration for us in Tauga County. We just went in and put in mixed pine stand, mulching operation, either a boundary or a point. Depends on how you want to put your information in. And so there's a whole lot of things you could do if you wanted to burn this stand and you thought, hey, I want to try this ignition pattern with this wind, you could simulate it. Again, you may never want to do any of this. It's just showing you that there are examples of what you can do and how you can start to portray data. That's all this is designed to do, is show you what's out there. So if you haven't ever used it for points, lines, and polygons, I hope this may have opened you up at least to some ideas, at least things you might be interested in going to do. Any questions on Google Earth before we go? How's the speed going? Too fast? Good. Doing all right? Good deal. All right. There are also a lot of help and tutorials out there, a lot of information people are putting. If you're interested in any types of those layers, people are always putting together things. National parks, trails, geocaching, anything like that. There are a lot of options out there to add in more layers. All right, so there has been some interest in this aerial photo archive. How many of you have ever used this? University of Alabama. Did you like it? Yeah. Is this cool or what? You can go out there and pull up historic aerial photos. For some areas, it goes back. It's going to vary place to place on what it pulls up. For Auburn, we're able to pull up back to 39. The whole state comes up. As you scroll over, it's pretty cool. It gives you sort of like a little mosaic of the whole county. What you do is when it comes up, you click your county, and it'll give you a list. It's an online application, doesn't require downloading anything. You're able to view those historic photos, and then you can, from this, choose and order your digital copies if you're interested. Again, we've got our keywords, our link. They also have if you go to their main website, they have a whole lot of other information. And there's a chance they have there was a question about historic topographic maps. Before we had some of the man-made lakes and things. You can go back and look and see sort of what the lay of the land looked before. I think they may have some. But again, this is a great archive, great way to be able to access information. For today, I just pulled up Lee County, so highlighted just click the county over here, and you go to a link, and it's going to bring up a whole list of places. And so you try to find the place nearest to whatever your area of interest, family farm, client property, whatever. It's going to have then a list of the years. And if you notice, it's going to vary place to place of what years are available and how many. We'll talk here in a minute. If you don't see your property or what you're interested in, I'm going to give you an email address, and you email them and say, hey, either pull up the coordinates from your GPS or use Google Earth or some other thing and send them the coordinates and say, hey, this is what I want. And what they'll do is they'll send you back an email with the coverage and the dates that they have. And so, again, they're really good about that. Again, find out how many interests or how many years they have for your property. And it gives you the ability, once you pull up everything you can get, you can create a little timeline. So, this was the quick one. This is 1973 for Auburn University. And I think the next one I actually zoom in. So this is what the Donnie View track looked like in 73. And so, you've seen it sort of in the 2010 version. We'll see it later in a newer. This is 73. Take a step back to 58. Notice we're right on the edge of a photo. And so if I called them and ordered them, I could potentially get the other side of that. This is what it looked like in 58. And then one more step back, that's what it looked like in 39. So pretty cool. We're able to go now, 73, 58, 39. That's pretty cool. Yes, ma'am.
Now you said we could order a photo. We do not print that out at home?
Again, off your browser, there are things you can do, but if you want the full-blown, good, high-res copy, or high-res as it can be, then there's a link down here at the bottom to purchase copies. You click on it, and once that pops up, there's a form to fill out, all the required information, and you can order. They weren't too bad. I don't really like quoting prices because things change so much. You have
What
to take
about
a
the
look.
size of the photo that you order?
As far as
Big ones or?
they're gonna come on a CD.
Oh, so come on.
Yes, ma'am. Now, whether or not they'll print them and mail you printed copies, I don't know, but it's gonna come on, what I've ordered in the past came on a CD.
And can you order, can they put a whole bunch of them on there, please?
Yes, ma'am. They put, and I don't, they may have moved up to even put them on DVDs, I'm not sure. So, yes, ma'am, you can order quite a few of them for CD. Let me go back. Anybody have any questions before we go on to that?
Yeah. Out of curiosity, what were the sources of the photographs? Did they go to private, photo?
Potentially, I assume a lot of, from my knowledge, I think there's farm service agency photos that go back, and I assume that's where they're tapping into a lot of those. That is truly a yes. And so that'd be something to ask. Again,
If I pay for an aerial photo, I don't think I want to just give it away.
I understand.
It doesn't make money.
I understand. You take a look, email them and see what the sources for their data. It may somewhat vary location to location, but I assume a lot of it, they're tapping into the FSA. Again, if you need to get coordinates for your area, Google Earth, a lot of different options out there to be able to get that information. Or just tell them where you are. Yes, sir.
So will these be as good as these aerial photos, these commercial companies advertise, taking flights and taking pictures?
Again, what you sort of saw is sort of what they are. It's a little bit better when you actually get the CD, but again, going back to the 30s, it's going to be what it is.
I've had experience, I got a little experience, because I wrote to the National Archives in one of the earliest photos of certain parcels of land that we had.
Nice.
And they sent them to me, and I took those photographs and scanned them to very high resolution, and was able to hone in on very small parts, and
Very
it's
cool.
just been very neat.
There you
So
go.
the resolution on those older photographs may be better than what you would get on 1990 photographs, 1985. They're just,
Black and white, non.
yeah, they're really, you'll be happy.
And you contacted the National Archives?
Oh, that was many years ago before I knew about it. Just,
I got you. But again, there are numerous sources out there to be able to get data. Pretty much what it boils down to. Any other questions? We'll go on to the next. All right, if you take the next step and you get into a GIS or you want to download a viewer, this is the Geospatial Data Gateway, another product within RCS. So if you wanted individual area photos, you wanted to pull up a 2011 photo, a 2010, go back to say, I think the list now goes to 2006. You just want just a photo for Lee County. This is the place you can go to get it. And you have it just on your machine. It's not rolling through the internet. Once you download it, it's on your machine. This is the place you can do that. You can get topographic maps, elevation information, climate, either precipitation and temperature. You can get geology information, just a whole list. Land cover, land use, a lot of data sets out there. Most of them are on the county basis. It's going to vary state to state and county to county of what's out there. Again, this is going to be for a little bit more advanced users, either through using GIS software or some type of viewer. The NRC, again, a lot of data options. They have a home page. They also, just like the web soul server, they have a lot of tutorials and a lot of frequently asked questions, menus to get over any humps you might have. Once you choose, and I think I've chosen Lee County or Alabama and Lee County. This is what the data sets look like as a list. This one, I need to update my slide. This one's for 2009. I know 2011 photos are out there. You can take a look at the metadata, find out when, if you click the I, find out when the photo was taken. You can click the plus and click another button, you can actually get a view of what it would look like. So, pretty cool way to get data. The next step is you go through and you select. If you're a GIS user and you know what your projection is, you can click your projection. And there's a couple ways to order. There's an FTP, your file transfer protocol. That's where they email you a link. You click on the link and you download it directly online, free of charge. You do have to put in your name and you have to fill out the information box about who you are. They keep up with it, so there are people like me that don't order too much. I get timed out. So just if you order a bunch, you may get timed out for a day or two. You have about, I think it's 4 days to download once you pull that up. And this is, if you don't have internet, you can also order a CD or DVD, but those cost. So when in doubt, if you got internet, try to get it online. Other sources of data out there, I know, how many of you took GPS 101 with Chris Dillard last week? Or yesterday? Chris, Again, he may have talked to you about the Alabama Cooperative Extension Water Quality Information System. Great source of data. It holds your area photos, your topos, everything down to a quadrant. So you don't have to download the whole county. A lot of great information out there. They also, another reason I point them out is they have a link to take you to viewers. And so if you want to pull up Tattoo or FGIS, some of these other GIS-like viewers where you can bring this data in and not have to work online all the time, you can use these. Another way to do it.
That seems to be tied to the BIM system, not the Google.
This one's got a whole wide variety of photos. So they have National Agricultural Imagery Program. And so, again, they have that. Being, I'm not sure about what they're tied in on that. GIS data depots know them, Landsats know them. Again, all places, they're different sites to get a lot of the same types of information. Just some more options.
I don't get the same data, I mean, there's 28 different satellites taking photos.
A lot of these are actually aerial photos where they fly, and they fly once a year. You can tap into imagery, and there are different satellites out there taking imagery. They take different extents, different times a year. Again, there's a whole realm of things from the satellite side. And a lot of data you can tap into, just like Bill Christian was talking about, with what they've got, you can tap into a lot of information. It can overload you quickly. The last section of the booklet before we go on to other programs is the program called Canvas from the Agroforestry Center. Anybody ever used Canvas? Don't run across many people. People generally get sort of, yeah, John, it's visual simulations. What do we do with that? But it's a free program, and there's a lot of cool things you can do with it if you just want to sit down and take the time. You can either download it online or request a CD or DVD. And it works with, again, with just digital photographs. You take it with your phone or your camera. A lot of great help menus and tutorials. It is a little bit complicated to get started, but again, they've got a lot of cool, you can do like these personal webinars. You just pull it up and watch it on YouTube. It tells you how to do it. Again, this is the link out there, and so it's really for people that are interested in creating these little visuals. Something you might want to change or do to your property. You want to see what it might look like before you take the jump and do it. Again, it's free. It's free whether you download it or whether you order it. And I've got links in that go either way. So this was a picture I took. This is just a field. And so you can take something like this. This is your blank canvas. If you have a field like this, you don't want to use it as a pasture anymore, you want to plant trees or you want to do something, you can use this. And this is sort of what that user interface looks like. They have a whole library of trees, ground covers. You can put in bricks and pavers if you wanted to make up, anything you want to do. You can customize it and create some pretty cool things. Again, it gives you the ability to edit digital photographs. You can go in and highlight trees and take them out, copy sort of the area of what it would look like if it was gone, and paste that in. It's pretty seamless and it's actually pretty cool. So not only you can add in trees, shrubs, and ground covers, you can also take them out. And so if you really wanted to sit down and play with it, you could have a series of photos and see how it might change over time.
Which age the trees, different stages of growth?
Right, you would just grab a tree of a different size. So yes, you could do that. I have a very fuzzy example of it. So you can do more than even what I did. They have some example simulations out there that either you can watch somebody else go through and build it, or this link will actually take you to the next set. So this is an area that they wanted to sort of create a field. So this is the before, this is the after. And again, just to sort of see what you think of it. Do the same thing. This is the one I showed. Again, this is not really this is more of a simulation, not even a good photo, but you can take a photo and do a similar operation. This was my little example. If you wanted to plant trees in the field, they don't have a real good library for southern trees. You can customize it, put some in. But again, it's just putting it out there. Say, hey, this is sort of what it would look like. So it's a pretty cool tool. I keep hoping more people will start using it and start, again, help make better decisions. A lot of publications out there to go with it, a lot of information. Anybody interested in silvopasture or agroforestry? And again, that's what this is for. If you'd like to plant rows of trees in your field, wonder what it would look like, this would be a place to sort of test that idea before you actually do it. So that's really what it was designed for, and how to, again, get into more multiple use management. So as we talked about, man, there are a lot of other options out there. In one little booklet, we could only get into a few. And so I guess I had a little bit extra time today. I want to talk about a couple more before we get to the tax and BLM records. There's something called the GPS Visualizer. And that's one I was interested in putting in the booklet, but just couldn't get it all in. Has anybody ever used that? This is a cool one. I've got a couple of shots from it. It's nothing you download. It's something you click on. It's an online application. And so it's really great. If you're interested in bringing in GPS data and converting GPS data, anybody ever use DNR Garmin? All right. It's now DNR GPS. That's another cool one. This Forest Assist. This is actually an application out of Georgia. And so you actually go in there, you can profile your land, get area photography, soils, topographic information, get contact with a conservation professional. You can go through this website and get a lot of cool information for another one. Or you can just use your favorite search engine and start, looking for things you're interested in. This is the visualizer. Keywords again, just GPS visualizer will come up. I can't list all the things that it can do. You can plot points. You can take XY coordinates in a spreadsheet and plot points. Change the shapes and colors of them. You can do freehand drawings, or like you did in Google Earth, get an acreage. You can upload GPS data. And this one is one I use if I'm ever interested in converting file types. Something I download from my Garmin or Magellan unit and then want to pull in Google Earth, or want to change it. Again, this is a good place, and it'll also create some pretty nice maps.
What a couple of examples of files you can convert?
It can go with the KML. It can convert to GPX. Take a KML you highlighted in Google Earth or here, convert it to a GPX, and you download it onto your unit. So again, it's got a whole list of things it can do here, and then zoom down. This is a place where you can upload your GPS file. And I'll show you the laundry list of maps and backgrounds it has. It's pretty robust in what it can do there. One of the quick things, if you get in here, and this may be something to write down, this is not in my instructions. If you just want to skip all this and start zooming and looking in Blade, hit the freehand drawing tool. So write that down. That'll take you to the next step where you can actually outline some areas. So freehand drawing tool. But no, if you've never used this one, this would be another one to go play with. I like this program. So this is the GPS Visualizer. Once you hit the freehand drawing tool, this is what it comes up to. You can just take your mouse and scroll around, zoom in, zoom out. It's got places over here where you can draw a line or you can draw an area, which is what I did. So I zoomed down, and this is the Donahue track. And this is a pretty new aerial photo. I'll guarantee you it's somewhere near football season because all the campers are out there. And so this is where, I've got another one that shows where I started drawing the polygon. This is the laundry list of all the different, so you can get Bing Maps, Google Maps, well not Bing, excuse me. You can get Google Maps, Yahoo, there's World Streets, World Topo, US Aerial, NAPE, all these different layers that you can turn on and turn off. Different types of photos, you hit a different photo, like Yahoo Aerial may be different than Google. And they have the hybrids, so you can have the photo and the roads. And so a lot of things you can turn on and off there. This is what it looks like as you start to draw that, want to draw that boundary of the Donahue tract. You can see it. It keeps up with my area. Notice it's smaller because I didn't complete it. I wanted to show you what it looked like because I started tracing it.
Did you do that with the GPS unit and mark those?
No, ma'am. I just pulled it up and hit the freehand draw tool and started clicking my way around.
So you didn't do it with GPS?
No, ma'am, but you could. It accepts that file and you could bring it in. You could go either way. So, again, it's got drawing tools up there. You can pan around so you can grab it and move it. You put in a waypoint, a track, an area, convert to GPX, convert to KML, or save it in either form. So, a lot of cool ways to do it. Take it, I actually zoomed in and you can see the individual tailgaters. Might be one of you out there. It was on campus. So, again, that's pretty clear. So, that's amazing, isn't it? I just couldn't help it. I had to put that one in. That's pretty cool. So you can see the individual. We've got signs on the Donahue track. I could actually scroll down and see the interpretive signs. So that's pretty cool. Yes, sir.
Just an interesting point. I have a nephew who's a doctor in Dubai, and he said my brother said
there's 3 cars in your driveway. The whole deal.
Yes.
Across the world.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Well, what I'm concerned about is somebody who might want to break into your house might be getting an aerial photograph and seeing the cars are leaving the house, or, you know what I mean? That's
Not real time.
We've not gotten that far to real time yet, but so hopefully, we haven't gotten there
we
yet.
hope it won't ever happen.
But with Google and some of them, they do have where you can scroll down and if you've done the street view, where you can turn around and you can see a lot from the street view, but again, it's not real time. So we haven't moved that far yet. DNR Garmin GPS is another one out there from the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources. Again, this one you do have to download a program. This is a screenshot from their site. Some of the things it does, you can upload, download. Say there's a GDB, SHP text, all different types, file types. Calculate shape areas, convert points, lines, and polygons. You can even do image hot linking with this one. Some of you, we mentioned that earlier. So you can take a polygon, hot link a digital photograph to it, and when you click on the polygon, it will come off. And so there are things you can, there's a lot of things you can do. That Forest Assist, again, that was an online application. Gives you the ability to profile your land. A lot of extra resources and contacts out there. It's a good site if you're just getting started and need some help. So, great site. This is what it looks like, and I just put this in because you have a list of the contacts. Your state forestry department, land cooperative extension office, again, a whole realm of contacts on the ground you can get. Any questions? Again, I know that was sort of quick. I just wanted to highlight a few of them. Anybody interested in that visualizer? Is that cool or what? Yeah, I like that one. All right. So now, the next set's going to be about property searches for tax information and for those land packs. So we'll show you some examples of that. If you've never been on the Alabama Assessor and Property Tax Records Directory website, this is a great one. And so, again, it's county to county. You can either click down and get the whole list of counties, or you can just scroll down. It's got more than property and land. You get into marriage and all kinds of different things. So, most of what we're going to focus on today is going to be property and tax records. And so the link's in your list of links. You just do the keywords and it'll pop up. All I did was scroll down so I could pick up Lee County. So within Lee County, this was pretty recent. This was maybe a week or two ago. You get property tax and vehicle tax search. Property searches and mapping, which is where we're going to focus on time. Even get to the assessor and the revenue commission sales tax. There's a whole lot of things you can get to in just one quick couple of clicks. If you go into the assessment and appraisal side, you can go into assessment and real property appraisal. You can go
and who's doing the appraisals on that? Is that the county tax?
What you're doing
county
is
tax assessor.
Yes, ma'am. You're linking into the county tax assessor website. So this is their data. You can get into property maps, and you can actually pay your property tax online. So for some, and it's going to vary county to county. If you're interested in looking up property appraisal, either finding out what it's appraised at, find out what your tax is. If you're looking at another property, you can pull up, find out what the tax has been over the last few years and how it was paid. You can go by last name, address, or even the parcel number, depending on what information you have. This is just a tabular version. Once you come up with something, I just typed in Auburn University just as an example. It lists out all the Auburn University properties in Lee County. You just click on the one you want. You can also get your parcel number and search another way. Once it comes up, you got that appraisal link, gives you the description, the owner, gives you deed book and page number. Even for newer deeds, it might even have a county to county. It's going to vary. You might even be able to click and get a scanned version of your deed. And so, again, that's going to vary, but the opportunities are there for some counties and newer deeds. You can click directly from that page I just showed you and get the laundry list of the tax information. Again, what it was assessed at, what property tax was this year, what it was last year, the year before, for a few years. See when it was paid, even down to the date and the check number. If you want to move out of the tabular into the mapping side, there's a link down to click on mapping. But what I wanted to show you, if you want to bypass all that other, you could also just go straight to the Alabama GIS site and do just the mapping side. It'll give you a lot of the same information. They're all linked. It's all going to the same place. This is Alabama GIS, and it comes up here, and it's the laundry list of the counties that have the data. And there's a fee side, which is subscription, or there's a free side, which I tend to use. They even have it for mobile devices where you can pull it up online, or on your phone or your pad if you got Wi-Fi. Flagship is the one that you doing this. eMap's another one that's out there. A couple of different options. Everything we'll talk about today is through Flagship. Again, 2 different levels. Always try the free first. Again, that's what I do. So this is pulling it up. This is what it gives you. This is Lee County. If you would have gone from the tax assessor site and clicked View Maps, it would take you straight here. I just put it in case you wanted another option for how to get there. Same information. You can put in the owner's, either what the name begins with or what it contains. You can put in a parcel number if you know it, a PIN number if you even know that, or you can, search around. You can just click and drag. It's got all those tools. You can zoom in, zoom out, pan, and search down to whatever you're interested in. Again, pulling up just a quick track. I threw a name in or zoomed in, I can't remember, and pulled up a little 45-acre tract. And if you click on it, you get all the information about who owns it, what the appraisal value was, tax. You can link this back into the tax assessor page and get all that information. And again, it's all built and out there. So you could instead of doing the tabular search, you can just search here and get the map too. You can select the backgrounds. You can actually turn on an aerial photo. You can print a map. Again, pretty professional maps, got a scale. You put information in. Save a digital copy. It will give you the ability to measure distances and areas. I don't know if I put the slide in. No, I didn't. You can also do buffers. And so if you take that 45 acres and you tell it you want to buffer out either so many feet or so many miles, you can find out how many pieces of property you touch within, say, a mile radius. If you got smoke sensitive areas, or you got landowners you need to contact if you're about to burn, or you might be having a haul road come out and you want to know what that neighbor, what that contact information is for that neighbor, you might be hauling timber out on that side. That's how you can find out who they are. Or go to the county tax assessor office. So a lot of cool operations that you can do in that one side. This is the one I was talking about from the U.S. Department of Interior, Bureau of Land Management, General Land Office Records. Say that 3 times. That was a big one. Woo. All right, this is where you can go. You can pull up land patents, again, where the land was from the government to the individual private landowner. And I've got an example I'll float around. Never can remember the year. It's in the 1800s. This one's in the, 1840s? 1832. And so this document's a scanned document signed by John Tyler. So pretty cool. This was for Lee County. They've got a new, you can search by document type, or they have, and this is what's new. This came out actually February 14th of this year, is a search by location. So it's got the map. So all I did was scroll in, I right click, I hit map township, and boom, it gave me everything in that area for Opelika. Once you do that, it gives you this, you hit the search, and it'll give you a laundry list of all the land patents they have for that area. And I just pulled off the first one. So I'm going to pass this around. This is it. And the next one, there's another tab you can hit for more information that has the survey plat. So again, pretty cool information if you want to track back to see how the properties move around and who had it first.
All these websites. Printed out.
Yeah, right here, right here.
That's your top sheet.
On this piece of
Yeah.
paper.
And our hope is also, hopefully we'll get this out as a PDF. I'll talk to Billy to see if we can get it out as a PDF where you can access it. So I have a few minutes left. I can take questions now, but I'd love to talk to you. Anybody interested in data management? Or some questions you might want to ask yourself as you start pulling all this information in? That's what this next part's for. We talked about a lot of information that you can sit and download, that you can bring in as maps, either paper or digital. So again, these are just questions I want you to ask yourself and to think about. The process can be really overwhelming. Hopefully I haven't overwhelmed you too bad. We've organized it where you can get to it, but as you start clicking into it, it can be a lot of information. Spend time early trying to figure out how you want to store this information, what your naming convention is going to be, things like that can be huge. It can be just as simple as naming your file folders for your paper maps. But again, keeping up with it early helps you plan for the future. So, you know, what questions do you want to answer? What file types are you going to be bringing in? Is it a KML file from Google Earth? Is it a PDF from the Web Soil Survey? What data types are you bringing in? You're going to have to convert it. Are you going to be doing KMLs in Google Earth and need to convert it to something for your GPS unit or vice versa? Think about that. Write that out. Think about how you're going to do your paper and digital, you know, storage. How you might link that data together. We're going to talk about backing up. Definitely back up. And last year, and it comes up quite a bit, is thinking about security. Security is another issue for your online data. So, for your initial questions, what are your objectives? Do you have a management plan? Some of the early ones. You know, what records do you currently have out there? Do you have a forest inventory? Do you have information about operations, whether you've done harvest, burning, herbicide, planting, anything you've done? Do you have any of that information? Are you trying to keep up with equipment that you might have? Are you keeping up with your costs and revenues? Don't forget taxes. That's costly. Do you have any maps that are paper, or have you been doing some digital ones? Do you have just the current? Do you have history, or there are gaps? Sort of, what I tell people is you got to start with an outline version. And so what records of all this massive information that you have are pertinent to the question you're trying to answer? You can sort of prioritize. And what forms is that data in? And so, you know, that's a big thing. You might also think about who created this data. How current is it? All these things. You know, find out where did this information come from. Do you need to collect more? Or are you able to make all your decisions off just what you have? How are you storing it? Is it just paper? Is it digital or some combination? And how are you actually going to take this information and answer your questions? Are you going to be able to just look at a map and put notes on it? Are you going to need to do some type of analysis? What are you going to do? And so I want you to walk away from this. Mostly, I guess I have more questions I have answers, because it really depends on what you're trying to do. But I want you to think through the process. Even once you get beyond that, how can you share this information? Are you going to be able to make a copy of a paper map? Are you going to be able to send somebody one of those KMLs or PDFs? Security. What about it? Do you need it? Do you have it? Things like that. How will you update it over time, and how often? How often do you need to go out and get this type of information? And, you know, how will you transfer it to others? And so I think once you take some of these initial questions, build yourself a little flow chart and a little model of what you want to do. That's a very common thing. Done some work with a group in Georgia, and they went out and started collecting all this information and didn't put all their file names on. It's going to take them 2 times as long maybe to figure out what they have, because of that early preparation. I have the same problem with myself at times. I'll be pulling in all this information and it's, ooh, I got it, but then I can't do something with it. So take the time. Again, you know, you can always update or change things. Organization's a big one. How are you going to keep your data? You know, is a file cabinet, is it a computer? Or are you going to be able to store it? Is it shoe boxes and good file cabinets? Do not underestimate shoe boxes and file cabinets. That's a great way to be able to store data. But you know, you might want to move up to a computer. You know, that'd be another option. Storing and filing is really just the first steps. You still need to be able to use it and be able to search for it, be able to find the names. And so again, walk away with those questions thinking about it. I always tell people, you know, record keeping can sometimes involve some pretty sensitive data. So you might need to think about security. Either if you're online, there are always issues. I think my next one's going to have things about that. But passwords, permissions, and versions, like read only. If you're into computers, these are things these are adjustments you can make. Planning for the future, moving and storing data. Again, how are you going to transfer that, convert it to a digital form? You know, archiving, you can get down to the dreaded audits. The more information you have, the better organized it is, the better you can do things into the future. Because jump drives are going to die, CDs are going to break, computers are going to crash. You got to keep a backup. You got to keep security. I was going to show another one about converting maps. And if you're interested, this is one where I'm running out of time, but where I've done photos. So you can click on this one. We're talking about photos. Click on the photo, and boom, you can link in a couple of photos, see what it looked like in the 40s, what it looked like in the early 90s, or even today. And so another way you can do things with some of these programs to make more timelines for your property. Or you can just do it in Excel. Oh, there was my other slide. I thought it was in there. I love that quote. Papers get lost, computers crash, DVDs and CDs scratch, jump drives die, and online storage can be hacked. So, I like that one. But again, back up your information. I thought it was in there. That brings me to the end of my time. I'll be glad to take any questions, and I thank you for your time.